Welcome to SJSLTI English Telearalan. It's a great day and a great opportunity to learn. I am Teacher Ray and I'm really thrilled to bring you today's lesson. So let's bend over backwards as we continue to journey the realm of research. As a student in the 21st century, you're expected to be aware of critical social concerns in your community and country as a whole. Knowing about these challenges entails not only acquiring data, but also providing solutions to the problems we face today. In today's world, data about information can be found in a variety of forms and channels. And in order to match the academic standards of the sector, one must have a thorough understanding of the subject issue. As a result, research is born. From our previous episode, we learned the definition of a research and research approaches. We also discussed about the criteria to consider in writing a good research title. Now, today's lesson will lead you to compose a research report on a relevant issue. As we continue to our lesson for today, you are expected to A. Determine the parts of research report. B. Write a draft of a research report starting from preliminary parts to introduction. And C. Appreciate the importance of being familiar with the technical terms used in research. But wait, let us first test your prior knowledge. Read and understand the following statements carefully. Choose the best answer from the pool of terms used in research that correspond to each statements in the box. Let's begin. Number 1. This presents the background information, scope, and focus of the research report. What do you think is the answer? Correct! The answer is introduction. Number 2. It is an overview of the previously published works on a specific topic. The term can refer to a full scholarly paper or a section of a scholarly work such as book or an article. If you answered literature review, you are correct. Let's go to number 3. This is a written statement that explains why your research was needed. It's a justification of the importance of your work and impact it has on your research field. Its contribution to new knowledge and how others will benefit from it. Yes, that's right. Its significance of the study. Number 4. It is a part of the introduction which enumerates the research questions which study seeks to answer. The answer is statement of the problem. Last but not the least question, number 5. This embodies the specific direction by which the research will have to be undertaken. What do you think? The answer is conceptual framework. So how was it? If you scored a perfect 5, that's awesome. If not, don't worry because the answer is just to keep learning. So let's go, it's time to go deeper. As you can see from the table, we have the parts of a research proposal and parts of research. Under research proposal, we have the following parts. We have preliminary parts, which includes title page, acknowledgement, table of contents, list of table or tables, and list of figure or figures. For chapter 1, which is the introduction, we have the background of the study, significance of the study, and the scope and delimitation. For chapter 2, which is the design and methodology, consists the research design, population and locale of the study, the data gathering tool, data gathering procedure, and the treatment of data. And lastly are the final parts, which includes bibliography, appendices, and biographical sketches. For the parts of a research, which is expected to be a finished research output, it covers the preliminary pages, chapters 1 and 2. In this research, it includes already the chapter 3, the results and discussion. This is the part we discuss the analysis and the interpretation of data gathered. For chapter 4, it is now the conclusions and recommendations. Lastly, the final parts, which consist the references, appendices, and biographical sketches. After we clearly understand the parts of a research proposal and parts of a research, you are only tasked to write a research proposal. So come on, let's tackle the parts deeper one at a time. Let's start with the title page. The title page is the first page of your article, and therefore it is important to have a well-formatted title page that clearly represents your paper. This page should include all the information necessary for a reader to identify the contents of the article, its authors, origin of the article, and the article type. It should look something like this, following the APA-style 7th edition format. APA stands for the American Psychological Association. Next, what is acknowledgement? The acknowledgement for thesis is the section where you thank all people, institutions, and companies that help you complete the project successfully. It is similar to a dedication, except for the fact that it is formal. Also, you don't need to mention every single person who helped you with the research, just those who were most important to your research. For example, you don't need to thank your boyfriend for making your dinner as you work on the project. Our third preliminary part of a research proposal is the table of contents, which I believe we are all familiar with this section, right? The table of contents is where you list the chapters and major sections of your research proposal, along with their page numbers. A clear and well-formatted contents page is essential as it indicates a quality paper is to follow. Actually, the parts of the research proposal shown earlier will be the exact content of your table of contents. Here is an example. Next, we have the list of table or tables and the list of figure or figures. A list of figure and or a list of tables will show all the graphics, equations, and tables in the document. However, for an element to be recognized, it must have a caption. Please take note of the following. Table or figure headings must consist of the exact captions of the table or figure in the text. If there are 4 or more tables or figures, place them as separate lists in separate pages. However, tables and figures can be combined in one list given the following conditions. A. There are 4 or more tables but less than 4 figures. B. There are 4 or more figures but less than 4 tables. And C. There are less than 4 tables and figures. Note also that once the table and figures are listed as one, the title automatically becomes List of Table or Tables and Figure or Figures. The paradigm of the study shall no longer be placed in the table of contents as it is already placed in the list of figures. Now, we go to Chapter 1, the Introduction. Under the introduction, we have the background of the study. This refers to the overview of the research, which presents a situational analysis and portrays the problem in the global, national, regional, and local context. This may also include A. The justification of what generated interest and motivation for the researcher that led to the conceptualization of the problem. B. The logical continuity between relevant previous work with the present work. C. The theoretical or practical importance of the study. And D. In general, provides the reader a firm sense of what was done and why. This section presents the most recent data or facts relative to the topic being studied. The historical or legal foundation of the study must also be firmly established in this section. Under the background of the study, theoretical or conceptual framework must be included in this section. A primary theory must be identified and discussed in connection with the topic. Supporting theories and concepts follow to further elaborate the variables of the study. The theories further explain why and how a certain phenomenon happens, thus providing a skeletal backbone for the conduct of the study. This portion is important because the theories shall help in the interpretation of the research findings. Still, under introduction, we also have the research paradigm. The research paradigm is a diagrammatic representation of a conceptual framework. It depicts in a more vivid way what the conceptual framework wants to convey. This segment requires a clear discussion of the variables and their relationship. The researcher should know the value of controlling a particular independent variable in order that interference of other variables in the prediction will be avoided or minimized. Note that the discussion is provided before the presentation of the diagram or figure. It is important to discuss the variables to be used in the study. After such presentation, discuss also the relationship of these variables. Take note to place the paradigm of the study on a separate page. Notice that it is placed in a rectangular box. Let's take a look at some sample paradigms. Note that the box headings in your paradigm, the independent variable, dependent variable, moderator variables, and the like, should be written in all capital letters. Likewise, there should be a borderline between the box heading and the text. Still, under the umbrella of the background of the study is the statement of the problem. For quantitative studies, the research problem is one or more questions to be answered empirically. Empirically means originating in or based on observation or experience. The main problem is usually stated in a declarative form and covers the broad area. It states the intent of the investigation in a clear grammatical sequence, shows congruence with the title and the theoretical framework, and provides linkage with the methodology to be employed. Let's take a look at these examples. For qualitative studies, the research problems will shed light and understanding to a certain phenomenon or phenomena, but does not give a specific answer or solution to a problem. The specific research problems are in the form of interrogative statements. These specific problems or sub-problems are interrelated parts of the main problem into smaller sub-parts. The problem should not be answerable by yes or no. The specific problem must be typed after an Arabic numeral, example 1, 2, 3, and the like, while the sub-problems must be numbered as 1.1, 2.1, and follows. Let's check the example given. In descriptive studies, there is no hypothesis for the specific problem. The hypothesis is only for the inferential or statistical problem. There are no hypotheses stated for qualitative studies. The hypotheses are tentative, intelligent guesses set forth as possible explanation for an occurrence. They are posted for the purpose of assisting the researcher in directing the investigation of a problem. After the background of the study, we have the significance of the study. In simple terms, the significance of the study is basically the importance of the research. The significance of a study must be stated in the introduction section of the research paper. While stating the significance, we must highlight how our research will be beneficial to the development of science and society in general. We can first outline the significance in a broader sense by stating how your research will contribute to the broader problem in your field and gradually narrow it down to demonstrate the specific group that will benefit from your research. While writing the significance of your study, you must answer questions like, why should your research be published? How will this study contribute to the development of your field? Finally, the last part of Chapter 1 is the scope and delimitation. Scope and delimitation are two elements of a research paper or thesis. The scope of a study explains the extent to which the research area will be explored in the work and specifies the parameters within which the study will be operating. For example, let's say a researcher wants to study the impact of mobile phones on behavior patterns of elementary school children. However, it is not possible for the researcher to cover every aspect of the topic. So the scope will have to be narrowed down to a certain section of the target population. In this case, the scope might be narrowed down to a group of 50 children in grades 3 to 5 of one specific school, let's say San Jose School. And their behavior patterns in school have been observed for a duration of 6 months. This would form now the delimitation of the study. Thus, delimitations are the characteristics that limit the scope and describe the boundaries of the study, such as the sample size, geographical location or setting in which the study takes place, population traits, and the like. Let us review what we have discussed so far. Very well. This ends our discussion for today. But before you go, your task is to draft a research report starting from the preliminary parts until introduction. Be guided by the following. 1. Identify a problem in school or community that needs to be addressed. 2. Formulate a hypothesis. 3. Identify the independent variable and the dependent variable of your study. 4. Search for theories that can support or can be related to your study. 5. Identify the significance of your study. 6. Identify the scope and the limitation of your study. I hope you enjoyed and learned a lot from this video. Join us again in our next episode to continue to discuss the last parts of our research. Remember, St. George once said, research is to see what everybody else has seen and to think what nobody else has thought. Once again, I'm Teacher Ray, and until next time.